welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today I've got a really cool light up shop window type card for you, and to do that we're going to be using some lights from Chibitronics. We've got this Die-namics die set from My Favourite Things that has like a dress and some handbags and boxes and a shoe, and then we've also got this Love to Craft Grace and Beauty paper pack. And we're going to create a centre pop-out card. So this piece of peach cardstock that I've got at the back measures 5 by 7 inches. And then I want this piece to measure 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, but it's only a 6-inch square paper pad. So what I want to do is match up this paper. So I'm going to glue it along here, and then I'll be able to stick those two pieces together and have one piece of paper. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the excess off this end, because I want this piece to come under. We're going to have 2 panels and I want it to go under there so that you can't see the join. So I'm going to cut the excess off this end. So now we've got this piece that measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So now I want to do some measuring, because I want to hide some lights behind here, but we're going to have this piece over the top. And there's going to be some 1/2-inch pillars behind this piece. So this piece is 5 inches square. Then we're going to have 1/2 inch at each end where the pillars are going to be. So really we only want the centre 4 inches. So I'm going to line this up on here, and I'm going to find the middle 4 inches of my paper. So I want all of my light to sit between there. So I'm going to glue my pattern paper onto the peach paper. And then I want to add some lights between these lines. So I'm using a hole punch. I'm going to punch 3 holes across here. So then I've got a 5 by 7 inch piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to trace through those circles. So then I know where I want my lights to go. So then I'm going to grab my little craft stencil. I'm going to use this one because this is the shape of the lights that I've got. And so on each of my lights, I'm going to put the circle that I've drawn in the middle of here, because that's where the light bulb goes. And then I'm just going to draw around there. It doesn't need to be very accurate. It just needs to show you where your light's going to go for later. Just makes it much easier to place everything. So then I'm going to grab a switch, and this is just a piece of cardstock that folds over. It's from this foam adhesive pack that Chibitronics have done with the VR. And I'm just going to check on my lights, and I can see that there's a plus on this big side and a minus on that little side. So this is going to be my positive side, and that's going to be my negative side. It actually says it on the lights themselves. So I'm going to, there's like a self-adhesive part on the back of here. So I'm just going to pop that on there like that. And then what I'm going to do is run some of this tape. This is conductive fabric tape. And so it's really easy to use. And I want to make sure that it just covers this side of each of those marks that I've put on for lights. And then I'm going to take that up here, because we're going along the positive side of the lights, and we're going up the positive side of the switch next to the plus. And then we want to come down here to where that grey bit ends. So it's just gone along there, up the switch and down the other side. And then we're going to take some more tape, and we're going to follow it along the negative side. So the only thing that you need to worry about here is that the positive side and the negative side don't cross. There's nothing else really to worry about. And the fact that it needs to join everything. So this needs to go across the negative sides of the lights. And then we'll have that come around here. And then we'll have it go in the negative side of the switch, and we'll just cut it off at the end of that grey line again. And you get 10 meters of this conductive tape in each pack, so it's really good value for money. So now I've got this pack. This is actually a multi-light pack. So you've got 6 white, 4 red, 4 yellow, 4 blue, 4 pink, 4 orange and 4 green. And each light has a letter on it that tells you what colour it is. So I'm going to take out the W ones for white. So if you want a particular colour, then there are packs full of particular colours as well. So then I'm going to put my lights over the top of the places where we drew them earlier. And they're self-adhesive, so everything is really, really simple. And then what I want to do is use one of these battery holders to keep my battery in place. So I'm going to put that in here. I got this set of batteries from the pound shop. You just need some flat batteries. So you can see these are all different. So there's CR2032 and CR2025 and CR2016. They all work in this. And you can see then that when I close this, then all the lights light up because this is acting as a switch. So then when I add this on and press, then you'll be able to see the lights through that. So then I've labelled that up and I'll pop a picture of that onto my blog, so then you can reference that if you're trying to create this circuit. And there's a link to my blog in the description below. So now let's work on the card front. So then I'm going to use my squares nesting dies. So here I've got a piece of peach cardstock that is 5 inches square and a piece of this pattern paper that's the same one we use for the background that is 4 3/4 inches square. So then I want to cut through both of those using this square naming die. It's about 3.5 inches square. So then I want to be able to see a bit of the peach inside here as well. So I'm going to take a square that's about 4 3/4 inches and I'm going to place that around here to just cut off that extra bit from the inside of this frame. So then I've got this frame that fits really nicely onto here, so I'm going to glue those together. So I'm going to turn this over and on the back I'm going to tape a piece of acetate. This piece of acetate is 4 3/4 inches square. That's going to go on the back of there to be our window. So I'm just playing about a bit with this. I've turned off my overhead lights, that's why it's gone a bit dark in here and you can see the shadows, but I need to turn them off so you can see what's happening. So I was playing around with this because actually I wanted it to light up more than this. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to have this as 3 lights across the top of here. So it means that I need to put my holes lower so that you can see them beneath this. And I'm going to leave all of this bit where I rearrange this in the video. And the reason for that is that we all make mistakes. And I think that sometimes it's easy when you're trying something new, and this is new to me, that something doesn't turn out quite right and we're not quite sure how to fix it. So I'm showing you my fixes as I go along so that if it happens to you, then you can fix yours too. And this isn't a mistake as such, I've not done anything wrong, but it's just not as bright as I wanted it to be, which is why I'm going to move my holes lower. So I'm going to put a little line here, which is 3/4 of an inch down, just between these 2 marks. So that's where the top of my frame's going to come. So then I want my lights a little bit lower. So I'm going to put them at 2 inches, at 5 inches, and at 3.5 inches. This is going to be hidden by this, so I'm not worried about that. And then I'm going to use this hole punch and just punch these holes again. And because I've spaced them in the same way as last time, then the lights still show through, so that's great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut this down, and then I'm going to grab some of this foam tape that came in this pack. So in this pack you get the switches, the battery holders and the foam tape. And then I'm just going to add some foam tape onto here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this over the top so I can see the lights through. Then I'm going to add some more tape along here and along here, and some glue along here, and then I'm going to add a new piece of white 5x7 cardstock over the back. Now we can just press here and it turns on. Now you'd never know on the back that any of that was under there. So just so that you know, those of you that want to make this, I have put those new set of lights 1 inch below here, and I've decided to have them at the top now rather than the bottom. So then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a couple of pieces of this peach cardstock, and I've got these at 5 inches by 2 3/8 inches. That's just 1/8 of an inch under 2.5. And I'm going to score them at 1/2 inch intervals, so at 1/2 inch, at 1 inch, at 1.5 inches, and at 2 inches. And I've got 2 of those. And then I'm going to fold along those lines. So then I'm going to grab some tape and I'm going to put it along that slightly narrower piece. So that's the one that's 3/8 of an inch rather than 1/2 an inch. And then I'm going to join the 2 ends together. So then that will create this little post. Then I've got the post to lift up this front section. Now I want to decorate it. So I've got all these pieces. They're all cut from that My Favourite Things die set, and they're all cut either from pink cardstock or pattern cardstock from the pack I showed you earlier. So I'm just going to glue these pieces together. Then I'm going to heat emboss Happy Birthday onto some pink cardstock. So then I've cut that out with a stitch die, and that's going to be kind of a bit like my shop sign. I'm going to add this pattern shoe very slightly off on the pink shoe, just so that it looks slightly kind of 3D-ish, so there's just a tiny bit of that pink showing out. So let's start gluing these things on as well. So now it's up to you whether you put the foam pads behind here or just glue it. The foam pads are going to mean that the card doesn't fold that flat, but I kind of figure you're going to need a bit of a bulky envelope anyway because of the batteries, so I'm not so worried about that as I usually would be. So I'm just going to place this on here. I'm not going to press it down for a second because I want to see how it's going to look behind here. I think I might want it up slightly. I think I'm happy with that, so I'm going to press that down now. And then I want to add some tape to the front of this and the back of it. So then I'm going to take the backing off just one side of this, and then I'm going to pop that on the back of here. And I'm just going to rub out this line as well so that you can't see that. So now we can take the backing off here, and then I can add this onto my card front. So then I've just got this little push here stamp set and dies from Lawn Fawn, I'm going to use this button here, and I'm just going to heat emboss this little stamp onto some pink cardstock. I'm going to use the white embossing powder, and then I'm just going to cut that out with the coordinating die, and then I'm going to just glue that over the place where my battery is. And then how cool is this? I really love how it turned out. I'm going to turn off a couple of the lights so you can see it a bit better. So I really hope that you enjoyed making today's card with me. If you did, I'd appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I've used for today's card are listed in the description below. And there's also a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.